There's a few chairs at the front for if anyone's looking for a chair.
Good evening, everyone. There's 8 chairs at the front if you'd like to come down and find a seat. There's a couple of more chairs here at the first row and third row. Everyone, we'll just wait another 5 minutes. There's still a few registrations occurring downstairs, but please try and fill up all the spare chairs here in this room. Thank you. Everyone, I know it's 6 o'clock, but we've still got people who are registering downstairs, so if it's okay with you, I'll wait for another 5 minutes or so. Good evening, everyone. Could I have your attention? It's my pleasure to declare this special electors meeting open at 6:15. Thank you for your patience. We've got quite a number of people down in the main entry, so it's a wonderful turnout. And whether you're pro-trees, pro-sport, pro-both, it's great that you're all here tonight, and we really appreciate your passion and your interest in this important discussion this evening. One thing we can decide upon is that the City of Melville is a great place to live, and we've got great residents, we've got a great environment, we've got a great city. And from that point of view, I just hope that we respect each other tonight. We all live in the City of Melville. We are great people, and I hope you're kind and respectful to the people speaking tonight, and we have a really good evening. My name is Councillor Glynis Barber, and I'm the acting Mayor. The Mayor unfortunately cannot be here, nor the Deputy Mayor, so I'm your chair this evening, and it's my great pleasure to welcome you along. I do have to let you know that this meeting is live streamed, whether you're in this room or down in the entry foyer, and it is streamed on YouTube, and if you've got a problem with that, will you please let one of our staff members know. I also want to just speak on behalf of the city. I know there were some problems with registrations early on in the process. They've done a great job. The issue is that because we have to stream this meeting, we couldn't just have it in any old building, and we chose to have it here at the city, so thank you for your patience with the online registrations initially, and I'm glad you're all here tonight. I now invite the Acting CEO, Mr Jim Coton, to read the acknowledgement to country.
The City of Melville acknowledges the Bibbulmun people as the traditional custodians of the land on which the city stands today and pays its respects to the Whadjuk people and elders both past and present.
I draw your attention to the disclaimer on the screen. The affirmation of civic duty and responsibility on the screen. And the advice of audiovisual live streaming and recording on the screen. We have the following councillors attending electronically. Can you please confirm your attendance? Councillor Wheatland.
Yes, I'm in attendance.
Thank you, Councillor Wheatland. And we have the following councillors on approved leave of absence. Our Mayor, Katie Mayer, and Councillor Matt Woodall. I also note that the CEO of the City of Melville, Miss Gail Bowman, is attending electronically. I've introduced myself, Councillor Glynis Barber, but I'd like to take a moment to introduce our wonderful elected members and the officers in attendance this evening. So would the following elected members please say hello to the crowd. Councillor Jennifer Spanbrook, Bull Creek, Leeming. I know you're here, I just thought you might want to say hello to the crowd. Councillor George Paniotu, Bicton, Adderall, Alfred Cove Ward. Councillor Michael McGoldrick, Palmyra, Melville, Willagee Ward.
Thanks for coming, everybody.
Councillor Nicole Robbins, Bateman, Cardinia, Murdoch Ward.
Good evening.
Councillor Sue Hung, Bateman, Cardinia, Murdoch Ward.
Good evening.
Councillor Clive Ross, Applecross, Mount Pleasant Ward.
Good evening.
Councillor Daniel Lim, Applecross, Mount Pleasant Ward.
Good evening.
Councillor Scott Green, Central Ward.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming.
Councillor Crawford York, Central Ward. And as I've already introduced, Councillor Karen Wheatland, would you like to say hello? No, she's
No, I'm here. Sorry, I had to take it off mute.
Hello. Okay, thank you.
I've registered my attendance. Thanks.
Lovely. The following staff are in attendance. I'd like to introduce them to you. Our CEO is online listening, but tonight we have Acting Chief Executive Officer Mr. Coton.
Good afternoon.
We have the Director of Community Development, Ms. Pickering. The Director of Corporate Services, Mr. Tuffin. The Director of Governance, Legal and Risk, Mr. Yielditz. The Director of Planning, Mr. Varellas. And the Acting Director of Environment and Infrastructure, Ms. Ward. This is your meeting this evening. This is a community meeting, and the elected members you've just met won't be engaging in the meeting directly. They'll be really observing the meeting and listening to your viewpoints. Unless they have a question to clarify, they're pretty much just observers this evening. There are a number of motions to be raised at tonight's meeting, and should elected members or officers wish to disclose a conflict of interest in any matter, please let me or a member of the governance team know so I can advise the meeting and it can be recorded in the minutes. It is my aim to have the meeting finished by 8 o'clock. We were a little bit late starting, so we'll see how we go. The conduct of the meeting. So once again, I welcome you all to this special meeting of electors, which is being held at the request of 410 electors for the purpose of considering the John Connell cricket pitch and soccer project, including the following matters. The proposed clearing of approximately 209 mature native trees and 0.68 hectares of remnant native vegetation at John Connell Reserve. The absence of a clearly demonstrated strategic need for the proposed cricket pitch expansion, reliance on potentially outdated cost estimates and the absence of secure external funding, potential financial impacts on future rates, borrowings and capital works priorities, insufficient assessment of alternative options that may avoid or substantially reduce environmental impacts, concerns regarding governance processes, transparency and evidence-based decision making. These are the matters that the electors brought this meeting this evening. The special meeting was advertised for at least 14 days on the City of Melville website and on public notice boards at the City of Melville Civic Centre, libraries, Leisure Fit, since Tuesday, June 2nd, 2026. It was also advertised in the West Australian, in Perth Now, on Thursday the 4th of June, in the City's electronic newsletter and via the City's social media platforms. I welcome everyone's participation at this meeting. However, only electors of the City of Melville will be eligible to vote. As I've mentioned earlier, I hope everybody participates in a respectful manner. Please be courteous when people are speaking. Don't speak while they're speaking. If you are planning to raise a question or motion at tonight's meeting, please make sure that you have already provided City staff with a completed form. If you have not already done so, copies of forms are available at the registration table. We do have lots of questions, so possibly your question will already be asked. I will ask the Acting CEO, Mr. Coton, to address the housekeeping and meeting conduct matters, which are also on the screen. Thank you, Mr. Coton.
In the event of an emergency, please take direction from City officers who will guide you to the exit points of the building. This includes those in attendance in the overflow area. Toilets are located diagonally opposite this room, immediately before the entry to the council chambers. For those in the overflow area in the foyer, toilets are located to the right of the customer service counter. All present are required to sign the attendance register prior to entering the meeting. If you have not registered, please see one of the City officers. Only electors of the City of Melville are able to ask questions, move and second motions, speak or vote on the matters being considered tonight. Voting will be by show of the voting cards you received on registration. Only electors of the City are eligible to vote. Please raise your voting card when called to do so by the presiding member of the meeting. For those in the overflow area, please raise your card when asked to do so. Staff overseeing the area will count the votes and the votes in each area will be tallied. The proceedings are being live streamed and recorded. All speakers are requested to use the microphone each time they speak. The minutes of the meeting will include a summary of all questions asked and the responses provided. Please give your name and suburb clearly each time you speak and address Councillor Barber as the presiding member of the meeting. Speakers on motions are limited to a maximum of 5 minutes. Extensions of time are only permissible with the agreement of a simple majority of electors present. Elected members and officers attending this meeting to observe the proceedings and hear comments from electors. All questions should be directed to the presiding member, who may invite a response from the elected members and city officers present.
Thank you, Mr Coton. The John Connell Reserve item has been before Council for many years, and I understand it has recently become very controversial. So we have a large number of questions with or without notice having been received for this evening. If we have the question asker in attendance or they have a representative to ask the question, please make your way to the microphone to ask your question when called. I do ask that you are fairly short and to the point, and please don't be offended if I cut you off if you happen to just to be rambling a little bit. I hope you don't mind, but we do have a lot to get through this evening. If there's no one in attendance in the audience to ask the question and the question is not taken on notice, the question and response will be provided in the minutes of this meeting, which will be available on the city's website this Friday, the 26th of June 2026. So questions with notice have been received from Mr L. Craik of Willagee, Mr M. Mollison of Willagee, Ms T. Burns of Adderdale and Mr N. Wood of Burragoon. Questions with limited notice have been received from Mr Jamie Otti Leeming, Mr R. Willis Bull Creek, Ms L. Seaward Leeming, D. Jagadish Mount Pleasant, Mr R. Gossati Cardinia. Mr L. Craik of Willagee, are you in the attendance? If Mr Craik is not in attendance, a response will be provided to his question in the minutes. Mr M. Mollison of Willagee, are you in attendance? A response will be provided to Mr Mollison's question in the minutes. Ms T. Burns of Atterdale, are you in attendance? Okay, would you like to come to the lectern, please, Ms Burns? Thank you. Ms Burns, would you mind just stating your name and your suburb? Thank you.
Just the months. Right. I'm Tracy Burns. I'm from Adderdale. My question was on project need and prioritisation. So what evidence demonstrates that the John Connell redevelopment, evidence demonstrates that the John Connell redevelopment needed to meet the current and future participation demand for cricket and soccer, and how was this project prioritised ahead of other sporting and community needs across the city? Other projects have been paused awaiting a citywide strategic review. Why was this one not?
Thank you for your question, Ms Burns. Ms Pickering, the Director of Community Development, is going to read her response.
Thank you, Acting Mayor, and thank you for your question, Ms Burns. The projected need for the John Connell Reserve was documented in the city's Active Reserve Infrastructure Strategy 2020. Then, within the business case presented to Council at the April 2026 ordinary meeting of Council, a needs analysis was conducted. In summary, the needs analysis identified the following: increases in population growth within the catchment area of John Connell. Both current users of the reserve citing membership growth is restricted by the current size of the reserve. The cricket club also utilises 3 other reserves in the city in addition to John Connell. There are all reserves across the city that have cricket pitches are utilised in the summer season, and there are further reserves in planning in nearby local government authorities. However, access to these cannot be guaranteed. The city has a large number of sporting and community needs it aims to cater for. This project is not new, and consideration about its progress was made by Council in June 2022 with the endorsement of the application for the clearing permit. Given the clearing permit application was approved and funding to support the project has been committed, the city needed to make a decision with regard to its progress. It is not uncommon for the city to have multiple projects occurring at any one time in varying stages and decisions in relation to their progress, depending on their life cycle need to be made. The city will continue to progress projects within its available resources while the citywide strategy is in development, and a range of factors, including but not limited to approval requirements and available external funding, will factor into decisions on the progress of infrastructure projects. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms Pickering.
So I guess what I was asking was, what is the evidence for that? So yes, I understand that it's in the John Connell master plan, but I would have expected to see, for instance, the OS study survey. Was that used, the OS Place survey, which gives an indication of how many people play what sport, what's in increasing demand? Was the OS Place study used?
Thank you for your follow-up question, Ms Burns. It's possibly not within the current question you've submitted. So if you'd like to email Ms Pickering and get that information, that would probably be a good idea.
Okay.
And maybe it could be put in the minutes.
Yeah, I can certainly do that.
Lovely, thank you very much.
So my second question
Thank you.
was, given that the city has stated that the cost of this project is 4.68 million, what analysis has been undertaken to confirm that this figure is accurate, current and complete, including post-COVID construction pricing, earthworks, lighting, environmental offsets and long-term rehabilitation obligations, especially concerning the subject matter feedback on this? What is the city's assessment of the risk that the actual cost may exceed the 4.68 million once the project proceeds to tender and delivery?
This response will be from Ms Rachel Ward, the Acting Director of Environment and Infrastructure.
Thank you, Acting Madam Mayor, and thank you, Ms Burns, for your question. The cost estimate for the project is informed by a suitably qualified quantity surveyor, which was dated the 1st of April 2026. The quantity surveyor uses a variety of inputs to inform the cost estimate, including but not limited to industry benchmarking prices, recent comparable tender costs, and information from design consultants based on the information available at the time. This has been taken into account by post-COVID rates, so that's that one. The revegetation cost for the Kenhurst Park was based on a recent quote from a suitably qualified environmental consulting, land management and horticultural company. Additional contingencies were added given the time period required to undertake the revegetation. However, with all capital projects, there remains a level of uncertainty until detailed design is completed and we go to market. The city manages this through standard risk management process, with including contingencies within the project budgets and staged approvals throughout the design process. The council will have oversight on material changes in the scope and cost prior to proceeding to tender and construction.
Okay, I've just got one final question, thank you. Why was the clearing permit lodged by the cricket club rather than the city? Given that the city is the landowner, the project proponent and the responsible authority for the environmental compliance.
Ms Pickering, Director of Community Development, thank you. Would you mind answering this response?
Thank you, Madam Acting Mayor, and thank you for your question. The clearing permit process referenced was undertaken in accordance with the Council resolution made in June 2022, which authorised the President of the Leeming Spartan Cricket Club to submit the application to the Department of Water and Environmental Regulation. This approach was adopted to enable progression of the approval process at the time, noting the club's role as a key stakeholder and proponent of the project. Notwithstanding the administrative arrangements for lodging the application, the city remains the landowner and retains responsibility for ensuring that any works undertaken comply with relevant legislation, approvals and environmental conditions.
No worries.
Thank you, Ms Burns.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is Mr N Wood from Booragoon here this evening? Mr Wood, would you like to make your way to the microphone?
My name's Noel Wood. I live in Burragoon. I've been involved with the Leeming Spartans Cricket Club for 45 years and I'm a life member. I'm also on the Leeming Sports Association committee and have been for a long, long time. In fact, back when I'll call it the LSA, which is the Leeming Sports Association, were just cricket and soccer, we had a committee of 6 people and we decided that the ground we needed more space for more teams. This was 1991. Those 6 people on that committee at that stage, 4 of them are dead. 1 I don't know, and I'm the only one left. This extension was needed then and doubly so now. So this is not a new issue. It has been a long-standing community need for decades for Leeming. Sport does just not provide games.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, Mr. Wood, I would have to ask you to ask your question, please.
Okay,
Thank you.
I thought I had 5 minutes.
Not in question time. You've got 2 minutes. So if
it
I
didn't
could hurry you
explain-
up.
You didn't explain that.
Okay, would
Okay.
you mind? Thank you, Mr. Wood.
So my question is, and I ask the city this very plainly, haven't the sporting clubs, soccer and cricket, waited long enough? If this extension is not delivered now, what realistically funded and deliverable alternatives does the city have right now to meet the existing and growing demand for a sporting space in our community? Thinking about it, to put it all in perspective, we've been waiting longer than the Dockers have existed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wood, and I do apologise for hurrying you up. Ms Pickering, Director of Community Development, will give a response to your question.
Thank you, Acting Madam Mayor, and thank you, Mr. Wood, for your question and also for your long-standing service to community sport. As you note, the need for additional playing space at John Connell Reserve has been recognised for many years and was formally identified in the city's active reserve infrastructure strategy in 2020, which noted a post-2026 shortfall in cricket and soccer pitches, and that Melville has limited opportunities for increasing active open space due to being a built-out urban environment. At present, there is no realistic funded or deliverable alternative that can meet existing demand. All cricket-capable reserves are fully booked. Nearby future reserves in other local governments cannot be guaranteed, and it is not yet confirmed that the landfill site is a viable alternative, as further environmental investigations are required in addition to the availability of groundwater to irrigate a reserve. Notably, based on current available information, the landfill site option is estimated to cost $10.85 million. The endorsed extension is the only option available now that can provide the space needed for children and young people to play, train and belong in their local community.
Thank you, Ms Pickering,
Thank
and
you.
thank you, Mr Wood. We now move on to questions received without notice. Mr Jamie Yotti of Leeming, would you like to come and read your question?
Thank you. Is the City of Melville aware that the Commonwealth Department of Climate Change, Energy, the Environment and Water has separately written to the Leeming Spartan Cricket Club reminding it of its obligations under the Environmental Protection and Biodiversity Conservation Act 1999, specifically several matters of national environmental significance, MNES, identified in the clearing permit, including but not limited to threatened species such as spider orchids and their habitat, the presence of potential foraging and breeding habit for threatened species such as black cockatoos, and the cumulative impacts of vegetation clearing.
Ms Ward, Acting Director of Environment and Infrastructure.
Thank you, Mr Miotti, for your question, and thank you, Acting Madam Mayor. The City has received correspondence dated the 12th of June 2026 from the Department of Climate Change, Energy, the Environment and Water regarding revegetation at clearing at John Connell Reserve. At this stage, however, the City cannot confirm whether the Leeming Spartan Cricket Club received the same or similar correspondence due to the limited timeframe available to verify this receipt of this question.
Okay. Well, I have a sort of second follow-up to that, is that will the City take steps to ensure that the Leeming Spartan Cricket Club refers these matters to DCC-EEW and receives the relevant approvals before proceeding further?
Ms Ward?
Thank you, Acting Madam Mayor. Yes, the City has written to the Department of Climate Change, Energy, the Environment and Water, so DCC-EEW, advising that based on the specialist ecological assessment undertaken by qualified consultants, referral under EPBC Act is not considered necessary. These assessments inform the City's view that the proposed action would not result in significant impact on any matter of national environment significance. Should DCC-EEW provide advice indicating that a referral or approval is required prior to the clearing proceeding, the City will ensure compliance with any such requirements. At this stage, however, the City does not anticipate any further requirements from DCC-EEW in relation to this project.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Mr Miotti. Have we got Mr R. Willis of Bull Creek here this evening?
Thank you, Chair, elected members and staff, and it certainly is a great city. My question relates to understanding the historical facts of John Connell Reserve. So what I'm asking for Council to confirm these historical facts. In 1950s, this area was used, John Connell Reserve pit, it was a sand pit and was sand that went to the Kwinana Freeway Perth interchange, which opened in 1859. In 1974 to 2000, 26 years, it was a landfill site for all Melville domestic rubbish, our rubbish trucks, all that's when we went there, and construction waste. From 2000 to 2006, methane gas was obtained from the waste and was used to produce electricity, which probably highlighted maybe a little bit of delay in the development. Remedial works of a landfill site is required, and that's under the Contamination Sites Act. So there's an obligation on the council to develop this land, which has been left for so long, to be developed and made good. 1987, the Leeming Bowling Club was formed and commenced. 1993, Leeming Soccer Club was commenced. 1989, Leeming Sports Association was formed that included the cricket club in 2000. So it's a well-organised, managed organisation that manages all these facilities at no cost to the ratepayers of the city. Now, and then in 2003, though, the Leeming Sports Association building was open with a membership which is now over 1,300 members, and remembering that they have opposition come and play against them, so that's probably another 1,300 people that come and use this facility. And in 2003 was the driving range.
Sorry, Mr Willis, now your time's up. Have you got a succinct question out of all of that, or?
No, it was simply to confirm this historical facts. And I've finished my question.
Thank you. Sorry about this, but I'm just conscious of the time. I'm going to hand you over to Mr Coton, Acting CEO.
Thank you for the question, Mr Willis. As this question was received today with limited notice, in accordance with the City of Melville Meeting Procedures Local Law of 2022, this question will be taken on notice and a response provided in the minutes of this meeting to be published on Friday, the 26th of June 2026.
Thank you.
Thank you. We look forward to reading the history of the John Connell Reserve in the minutes on Friday. Have we got Miss L. Seawood from Leeming here this evening? Thank you, Ms Seawood.
My name's Lisa Seawood. I'm from Leeming. Thank you, Councillor Barber and other councillors for being here tonight. A great deal has been said publicly in recent months, suggesting that the John Connell project is a narrow or single club issue. However, the breadth of amount of people in attendance tonight shows or suggests otherwise. Present this evening, we have representatives from the Leeming Spartan Cricket Club, the Bull Creek Leeming Amateur Football Club, Bull Creek Leeming Junior Football Club, Leeming Netball Club, Leeming Bowling Club, Melville Bowling Club, to name a few. I've got 24. I'm not going to bore you with all of those names. These are not a loose collection of groups. They are incorporated clubs and community organisations that make up a very significant part of the civic life in the City of Melville. They pay substantial fees and charges to the city, have substantial membership numbers and carry real obligations and responsibilities in serving the members and the wider community. My question, could the city therefore please explain what it sees as the broader flow-on benefit of the John Connell Reserve extension across the city's sporting network, including the extent to which creating additional capacity at John Connell would help free up oval space for other clubs in both winter and summer, and whether delivering this project would send an important signal that the city backs the clubs and community organisations that contribute to the life of the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms Seward. I'm going to hand you to the Acting CEO, Mr Coton.
Thank you for your question, Ms Seward. As this question was received with limited notice in accordance with the City of Melville Meeting Procedures Local Law 2022, the question will be taken on notice and a response provided in the minutes to this meeting.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms Seward. Is Dee Jagadish here from Mount Pleasant this evening?
Yes.
Would you like to come to the lectern, Ms Jagadish?
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Much rhetoric has been directed at the John Connell Reserve project, with phrases like the world's most expensive lawn used publicly to suggest it is an unjustifiable spend on sporting land. Yet, at the same time, the city is proposing to spend millions on the Morrow Mews Passive Park in Applecross, on a significant city landholding originally acquired for alternate revenue purposes. I live very close to Morrow Mews along Canning Highway and can see that the benefit of the John Connell project far outweighs the likely number of users at Morrow Mews. Could the city please explain, for the benefit of the electors, how it distinguishes between spending on passive parkland and spending on active sporting infrastructure, and whether the Morrow Mews project would in fact be a higher cost for land that cannot deliver the same organised community sport, participation and year-round use as the approved John Connell Reserve extension?
Thank you very much for your question, Ms Jagadish, and I'll refer you to Mr Jim Coton, our Acting CEO.
Thank you for the question. As this question was received with limited notice and in accordance with the City of Melville Meeting Procedures Local Law of 2022, the question will be taken on notice and a response provided in the minutes of this meeting.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. We look forward to reading that response in the minutes. And finally, Mr R. Gassati from Cardinia, are you here this evening? Would you like to make your way to the lectern, Mr Gassati?
Madam Mayor, councillors, elected councillors and public. Those opposed to the approved John Connell Reserve extension have repeatedly suggested that instead of proceeding with the current project, the city should place additional playing surfaces over the former landfill area at the reserve. That proposition has been promoted publicly as though it was a simple, cheaper and more sensible alternative. However, the city's own past material has identified significant issues with that concept, including former landfill constraints, potentially contaminated material, remediation requirements, water and irrigation limitations, wind exposure, ongoing maintenance concerns and broader safety questions associated with the building, sporting infrastructure over the old tipland. Some of the same campaigners now promoting the option have also at other times described the tip area itself as unsafe, which only adds to the inconsistency and confusion in the public debate. For many electors, the concern is that the alternative is being spoken about as though it were a realistic near-term substitute, when in reality it may be vastly more expensive, far more complex and take many years, if not decades, to make safe, fund and deliver. My question is, given the demand for community sporting exists now, not decades from now, could the city please clarify what the likely remediation, construction and delivery timeframe would be if the old landfill area were pursued instead of the approved oval extension? What would the most recent cost estimate for that approach is, and whether those figures included floodlighting and other associated infrastructure?
Thank you very much for your questions, Mr Gassati. I'll hand you over to Mr Coaten, Acting Chief Executive Officer.
Thank you for the question. As the question was received with limited notice in accordance with the City of Melville Meeting Procedures Local Law of 2022, it will be taken on notice and a response provided in the minutes of this meeting.
Thank you. I've got a supplementary question. Can I ask that one there? Yep. I note the State Government's Community Sporting and Recreation Facilities Fund has historically provided grants of up to only $2.5 million and is not an unlimited funding source. Could the City therefore please indicate whether pursuing the former landfill option instead of approved oval extension would in fact be significantly more expensive for the City of Melville ratepayers, particularly if remediation, delayed in delivery and associated infrastructure such as lighting were taken into account?
Mr Coaten.
Thank you for the question. As that question was received with limited notice in accordance with the City of Melville Meeting Procedures Local Law of 2022, it will be taken on notice and a response provided in the minutes of this meeting.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your questions, Mr Gassati. I will alert the meeting here this evening. We had two further questions from residents, Mr Brett Patterson from Palmyra and Mr Neil Hewson from Leeming. Thank you very much for your questions. These will be answered in the minutes that you'll be able to read on Friday. So thank you to everybody who submitted questions. I now close public question time at 6:52 p.m. I would like to move to the motions for consideration this evening. We have a number of motions from the community with notice. Motions will be raised in the order they were received by the City. For those who would like to raise a motion and have not provided it in advance, there may be an opportunity after those with notice have been tabled. If you would like to raise a motion without notice, please complete a hard copy form from the registration desk and hand it to a member of staff. Before we get to the motions, you've been a fantastic audience, but I would just like to reiterate, please be respectful and kind to our speakers. They're often quite nervous. Please give them your kindness and respect. So without further delay, I invite our first person putting a motion this evening, Mr J. Miotti of Leeming. Mr Miotti, please make your way to the microphone. Mr Miotti's motion is on the big screen, and I believe everybody can see the big screen, whether it's in this room or downstairs in the foyer. If you'd just like to take a moment to read Mr Miotti's motion.
While they're doing that, presiding member, can I just get a clarification from an answer that was given during question time that the only option available was to do this clearing? Because my understanding, there was an option on that of those five that included or allowed for that oval or that area to be expanded, taking two ovals.
Mr Miotti, this might be a question without notice, and it might be more appropriate if you
Okay.
email the Director of Community Development at this late stage. I'm sure she'd be very happy to answer your question. Thank you very much. I hope you've all had a chance to read Mr Miotti's motion, and can I please ask if there is a seconder for this motion? I'll take the lady in red first. Can I have your name, please? Kim Ribbink. And what suburb are you from, Miss Ribbink? Mount Pleasant. Thank you, Ms Ribbink. Mr Miotti, would you like to speak to your motion?
Thank you. Presiding member, councillors, staff and fellow electors. Tonight I ask you to support this motion because this is fundamentally a question of financial responsibility. The City says this project is about extending a playing field. I believe it is about committing ratepayers to years of future expenditure before all the facts are known. Many people hear the figure of $4.7 million and understandably focus on that number. But the real issue is not what this project costs today. The real issue is what it will cost tomorrow. In response to a question I asked Council last month, the City confirmed that this project has now been built into future budgets. The City has allocated $200,000 in this coming financial year, 26-27, for design work. Then in 2027-28, ratepayers face a construction cost of approximately $3.2 million. But it doesn't stop there. The city has also budgeted $325,000 for every year for the next 4 consecutive years for revegetation and offset works. That means this single project will continue consuming future budgets until at least 30, 31, 32. At a time when ratepayers have experienced substantial rate increases, council is asking residents to accept not only the cost of construction, but the years of additional expenditure afterwards. And now we have a significant new development. The Office of the Federal Environment Minister has intervened seeking further information regarding matters of national environment significance identified through the clearing permit process. That should send alarm bells ringing, because if there are unresolved questions regarding nationally significant environmental values, then there are also unresolved questions regarding future costs. What happens if additional environmental requirements are imposed? What happens if additional offsets are required? What happens if the revegetation program does not achieve the outcomes claimed? What happens if future environmental assessment is required? Each and every one of those questions carries a financial consequence. And every one of those financial consequences ultimately falls on tax and ratepayers. Tonight's motion does not ask the council to abandon the project. It asks the council to stop and do what any responsible organisation would do when faced with new information and growing financial commitments. Pause. Review the business case. Consult properly with the community and determine whether this remains the best use of $1 million of ratepayer funds. The city often speaks about long-term financial sustainability, yet here we have a project that commits future councils and future ratepayers to years of expenditure while serious environmental questions remain unresolved. That is not prudent financial management. That is putting the cart before the horse. Before another dollar is spent, before any vegetation is cleared, before any future budgets are locked into years of ongoing costs, council should undertake a review this motion calls for. That is why all electors present tonight to support this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Miotti. Ms Rubing, would you like to speak now? Would you like to come to the lectern?
Good evening, councillors. Good evening, residents of Melville. Good evening, guests. I'd like to speak to the consultation process more than anything else. If we go back to 2019, newly elected councillors expressed that they did not wish to continue pursuing an arrangement with Development WA regarding redevelopment of the John Connell Reserve. But soon after that, things began to change. In 2021, the council met with lobbyists, including sporting clubs, MPs, and election candidates, establishing a pathway to clear threatened ecological community bushland at John Connell Reserve. And since then, every process has seemed more like the clearing of this bushland as a fait accompli rather than a well-considered and consultative process. In fact, it turns out the application for a clearing permit happened before the consultation process even started. In other words, this seemed to be predetermined no matter what the community thought. So exactly how did the council go about this community consultation process? In 2023, a question posed in a survey that 447 respondents, mostly from Leeming, showed a majority of respondents preferred to retain remnant bush and build a second oval over the old tip. However, bizarrely, the same survey had a very similar question framed differently, with a much smaller response with a majority support for the clearing of TEC bushland. That itself seems to be questionable. When it comes to consulting with Aboriginal representatives, responses from the city did hold consultations, but not that the consultation genuinely influenced the decision. The Wajok Nyunga reference group opposed the bushland clearing, yet council proceeded anyway. The city mainly points to processes, in other words, reports, briefings, consideration of feedback, rather than explaining how Aboriginal concerns changed the outcome. In effect, the response suggests Aboriginal input was heard but not followed. No other consultation appears to have been conducted. There was no local community outreach, no door knocking, no effort to reach residents through social media, emails, so on. But I know the council can and does conduct world-class consultation with other projects. As a resident of Mount Pleasant, I've been involved, well, been allowed to be involved with the Shirley Strickland redevelopment consultation process. The council reached out to multiple different stakeholders. It had used group consultations with many different sporting and education groups and conducted community engagement from the initial planning back in 2015 until the final concept plans were drawn up. Council staff door-knocked around 1,500 properties around Shirley Strickland. Residents had a say in all design matters related to Shirley Strickland, and the council published feedback from community members on everything from building updates to playing fields and how they would be best designed for different sporting clubs, to protection and retention of canopy, to parking. Shirley Strickland is a prime example of best practice. Its final design is worthy of the feedback. It retains what makes it a beautiful place to go, its iconic trees and natural setting combined with sporting facilities. So where was this practice with John Connell Reserve? This is an area of critical TEC bushland, as recently confirmed by the State Environment Minister in a question. It is enjoyed by many different members of the community. It is a vital source for our endangered cockatoos, and that there is evidence of endangered orchids. Why were the broader community concerns not considered? And why at a time when we are losing critical Banksia bushland faster than the Amazon is losing its forests, is the council rushing into removing remnant bushland when there are other options? This is not good consultation practice. This is not world class. This ignores the wishes of the Whadjuk Noongar reference group. It pays no heed to the wishes of community members who enjoy walking in bushland, and it overlooks the critical state of WA's disappearing and iconic Banksia woodlands. After I posed a question to council about its poor consultation process, the response I got was, the city acknowledges that some community members may have expected more direct notification from the city, particularly nearby residents, and this feedback is noted. Future project communication engagement processes can take account of this concern. This is an odd response given that the city has already conducted world-class consultation as far back as 2015, long before the John Connell Reserve.
Sorry, Ms. Ribbink, your 5 minutes is up. Are you nearly finished?
I am, yes.
Okay, if you could wrap it up.
Most important, though, future communication is too late for residents who will lose the area they enjoy walking. It's too late for our cockatoos. An even more pressing issue now with the rising threat posed by bird flu. It is too late for endangered flora.
I'm sorry, I might have to wrap you up. I think you're getting off on a tangent. Is this your last sentence? Excuse me, thank you. I'm in charge of the meeting, thank you. I don't need you to help me.
If this project goes ahead, it will be far too late for the City of Melville ratepayers who will pick up the bill for many years to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ribbink. Sorry, community. Look, I really didn't appreciate that. So if you could keep your comments to yourself, that would be great. I am going to ask if there might be a responder who is against this motion. Is there somebody who would like to come and speak against the motion, please? If you could raise your hand. No speakers against? Okay, we will put the motion to a vote. Very important at the vote that all those in, it's your turn to vote, that you raise your hand very high and hold your yellow card up very high. Please, we're going to be counting these manually. So, let's start with all those in favour of the motion. Please raise your voting card nice and high. You can put your hands down now, thank you. We're just going to check the votes downstairs. Right, those in favour, you did an excellent job holding up your yellow cards. Well done. So now we must give a turn to those against the motion. So for those people against the motion, will you please raise your yellow card with very straight hands? Thank you. Thank you very much. You can lower your hands and we're just counting downstairs now. Thank you. Right, Mr. Coaten is going to read the results of that motion.
The motion is lost. For was 87 votes and against was 114.
We move on to the second motion this evening, and this is moved by Mr. J. Miotti of Leeming. Mr. Miotti, please make your way to the microphone. Mr. Miotti, I didn't get you to read your motion, but I will get you to read this motion if that's okay. And after Mr. Miotti's read his motion, I'll be asking for a seconder.
Sure. Jason Miotti, Leeming. This motion is to reactivate the John Connell Oval Master Plan. That Council reactivate the John Connell Reserve Master Plan and undertake comprehensive community consultation to inform an assessment of all available options for the entire 47-hectare John Connell precinct, including both the existing cleared footprint and the former landfill site. This assessment should include the feasibility of options, including stage development if necessary, and ensure that the site's full redevelopment potential and wider community use are preserved and properly considered before any further decisions are made.
Thank you, Mr. Miotti. Have I got a seconder to Mr. Miotti's motion? I think first up was Mr. Morley. You're happy to be the seconder? Thank you. Mr. Drayton Morley of Willagee. Thank you. All right, Mr. Miotti, would you like to speak to your motion?
Thank you. Madam Presiding Officer, fellow electors. Tonight, I'm asking you to support a vision that looks beyond the next budget cycle, a vision that looks beyond individual clubs, individual projects and individual interests, a vision for the future of the entire 47-hectare John Connell Reserve Precinct. The motion before us is simple. It asks the City of Melville to reactivate the John Connell Reserve Master Plan and undertake comprehensive community consultation to assess all available options across the entire precinct, including the former landfill site. That should not be controversial. In fact, for a project of this scale and significance, it should be considered essential. The City's own survey attracted 645 responses and demonstrated something very important. People value John Connell Reserve for many different reasons. They walk here, they exercise here, they bring their children here, they walk their dogs here, they participate in sport here, and they enjoy the natural environment there. And when asked about the future, residents didn't identify a single priority. They identified many. Better sporting facilities, better community facilities, improved amenities, shelter and weather protection, more recreation opportunities. Nature-based experiences, places where people can come together as a community. The message was clear. The community wants a precinct that serves everyone. That is why tonight I want to announce a new idea for the future of John Connell Reserve, a proposal that could become one of the most significant community projects undertaken in the City of Melville in decades. I call it the John Connell Community Precinct. At the heart of that precinct would be a dual-use community shed and community hub established on part of the rehabilitated former landfill site, a place where retirees can share skills with younger generations, a place for men's and women's sheds, programs, community workshops, repair cafes, environmental groups, volunteer organisations and local clubs, a place where practical skills, social connection and community spirit can flourish, a place that belongs to everyone. Surrounding that hub would be future sporting fields, active recreation spaces, walking trails, community gardens, nature-based recreation and flexible open space, designed to meet the needs of a growing community over the next 20, 30 and even 50 years. And importantly, this can be achieved through staged development. There is no need to rush. There is no need to make decisions that future generations cannot reverse. Existing sporting facilities can continue to operate while new facilities are planned and delivered as part of a long-term precinct strategy. That is smart planning, that is responsible planning, and it is financially responsible planning. The former landfill site represents one of the largest underutilised community assets in the City of Melville. If properly rehabilitated, it has the potential to unlock opportunities that simply do not exist elsewhere in the city. Council should also investigate opportunities to reduce rehabilitation and development costs by utilising suitable remaining material associated with the formal Melville Golf Centre remediation works undertaken in 2004 and can council construction waste stored on site. That material can assist future earthworks and site preparation. It has the potential to reduce costs while accelerating delivery of community infrastructure. That is exactly the sort of innovative thinking that a master planning process should explore. Tonight is not about saying no. It is about saying yes to something bigger. Yes to a genuine master plan. Yes to proper community consultation. Yes to future sporting opportunities. Yes to community infrastructure. And yes to long-term financial responsibility. And yes to environmental stewardship. And yes to creating a destination that future generations will be proud to inherit. The question before us is not what John Connell Reserve should be next year. The question is what legacy we want to leave over the next half century. I believe we have an opportunity to create something extraordinary. I believe we have an opportunity to unite our community around a positive vision. And I believe this motion is the first step towards making that vision a reality. I urge all electors to support the motion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr Miotti. Our seconder, Mr Morley, would you like to speak now? Okay. State your name and suburb.
Well, good evening, Acting Mayor, Madam Mayor, councillors, lovely to be with you. Lovely to be here with everyone here and those watching at home on the live stream. It's great to be with you once again. My name's Drayton Morley and I rise tonight to speak in support of the motion to reactivate the John Connell Reserve Master Plan and undertake comprehensive community consultation across the entire 47-hectare precinct. I want to begin by acknowledging the passion and commitment of our local sporting clubs, including and particularly the Leeming Spartan Cricket Club, who have advocated for improved facilities for many years. Their contribution to community life is significant, and their desire for better infrastructure is entirely legitimate. This is not a debate about whether sport matters. It does. It always has, even though I support the Hawks. But tonight, I want to speak about opportunity and follow up what Jason's just been saying. The opportunity to finally get John Connell Reserve right. For more than a decade, the master plan for this reserve has had false starts, shifting priorities and fragmented decision-making. We've seen shovel-ready proposals come and go, election-driven announcements, and piecemeal upgrades that never quite add up to a coherent vision. Meanwhile, the community has been left unsure about the long-term future of one of the most significant public open spaces in the city of Melville. And yet, despite all this, John Connell Reserve remains a place of enormous potential. It's a site with regionally significant environmental values, a place where families walk, where wildlife thrives, and where a rare stand of Banksia woodland, threatened ecological community, still survives. It's also a site that includes a former landfill, as we know, classified as contaminated and requiring remediation under state legislation. That remediation is not optional, it's an obligation. And that is where the opportunity lies. Instead of clearing the 0.68 hectares of precious native bushland that the city itself has previously acknowledged as a threatened ecological community, we have the chance to do something far more visionary. We can remediate this old tip site, transform it into a multi-purpose community precinct that serves everyone. Sporting clubs, families, young people, seniors, environmental groups, and future generations. This is not an either-or choice between sport and the environment. It's a chance to achieve both. The community surveys conducted during the draft master plan process showed something very important. While people value sport, they also value the bushland. And many preferred the idea of locating new facilities on the remediated landfill rather than clearing intact vegetation. And when asked about priorities, respondents consistently highlighted native bush, trees, trails, and environmental protection. This tells us that the community is not opposed to improving sporting facilities. They simply want those facilities delivered in a way that respects the natural values of the reserve and uses already disturbed land first. Reacting the master plan allows us to do exactly that. It allows us to step back and look at the entire 47 hectare precinct, not just the existing oval footprint. It allows us to consider staged development so sporting clubs get the facilities they need without sacrificing irreplaceable bushland. It allows us to plan for a multi-purpose community hub, one that could include upgraded ovals, shared use buildings, walking trails, environmental education spaces and amenities that serve the whole community. And importantly, it allows us to align our decisions with the city's own commitments, including its canopy targets, which currently exist at only 15% by 2036. Its urban forest strategy, and also its obligations under the Contaminated Sites Act. We've got a chance here to create a legacy project, something that future generations will look back on and say, hey, they made the right call. They thought long term, they protected what mattered. Clearing the bushland now would foreclose that opportunity. It would lock us into a short-term solution that doesn't reflect the full potential of the site, nor the full aspirations of the community. Reactivating the master plan, as this option proposes, with genuine and comprehensive consultation, ensures that we don't rush into irreversible decisions. It ensures that all options, including the redevelopment of the landfill...
Sorry, Mr Morley, your time is up. Are you just about finished?
I've got about
one sentence.
1 minute left.
No. One sentence, if you wouldn't mind, please.
Okay. I urge Council to support this motion and electors in particular tonight to reactivate the master plan and give this community the chance to shape a future for John Connell Reserve that's worthy of its history, its environment and its people. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Morley. We've had 2 speakers for this motion. Is there anybody who'd like to speak against? If not, I will put the motion to be put. All right, first of all those in favour, can you raise your arms nice and straight and high with your yellow cards? Thank you very much. Right, thank you very much. You can lower your hands. We'll just count downstairs. While we're waiting, Mr. Morley did bring up a good point. We have got people online, so thank you to all the people online watching this evening, and a big thank you to all the people downstairs who couldn't make it into this room. Thank you for coming along and supporting us, and your votes are very important, so we're counting those now. In fact, we've counted them, so well done. This time we are voting for against this proposal, so if you are against Mr. Miotti's second motion, can you please raise your hand now? Nice and high, please. Thanks very much, everybody. You may lower your hands. We're just counting downstairs. I'll now ask Mr. Coaten, Acting CEO, to read out the results.
The motion is lost. For was 82 and against was 116.
The third motion this evening is moved by Mr. Jason Miotti of Leeming. Mr. Miotti, please make your way to the microphone. Mr. Miotti, could you please read your motion and then I'll ask for a seconder.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Motion 3 is remove the budget expense John Connell Reserve playing field extension. The residents and ratepayers of the City of Melbourne request the Mayor and Council to delete the $200,000 expense included in the 2026-27 budget for expenditure on the John Connell Reserve playing field extension proposal, Leeming or any associated matter.
Can I have a seconder for Mr. Miotti's motion, please? I see Mr. Morley has his hand up. I'd like to spread it. Is there anybody else keen? Yes, thank you. Okay, thank you. Sandra Miotti of Leeming. Thank you, Sandra. Mr. Miotti, would you like to speak to your motion?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This motion is not about cricket. It's not about sporting clubs. And it's not about whether anybody supports or opposes the project itself. This motion is about financial responsibility and whether this council should be asking ratepayers to fund the next stage of a project that carries a price tag of approximately $4.7 million at a time when families are already struggling with increased living costs. The facts are simple. The proposed expenditure of $200,000 may appear modest in the context of a city budget. However, everyone in this room understands that this is not really a $200,000 decision. This expenditure is the gateway to a project expected to cost more than $4.7 million in future years. Once money is spent on design, work, procurement, approvals and project development, pressure inevitably builds to continue spending because of the investment already made. In effect, approving this expenditure today is asking ratepayers to endorse a much larger financial commitment tomorrow. We all know what has happened to construction costs over recent years, and indeed, even since April, since a certain war in the Middle East has spiked pricing and fuel costs, we can expect that there will be an increase in those costs come the end of the year when this is due to be returned back to council. Projects across Western Australia have experienced significant cost escalations due to labour shortages, material cost inflation and contractor availability. No one in this chamber can honestly guarantee that a project estimated at approximately $4.7 million today will not cost considerably more by the time construction commences. That means ratepayers are effectively being asked to sign a blank cheque. At the same time, residents are facing substantial financial pressures. This year's budget includes average rate increases ranging from over 6.7% to more than 13%. Families are dealing with rising fuel prices. They're dealing with rising grocery bills. Insurance premiums are increasing, utility costs continue to rise, and mortgage holders are still feeling the impact of years of elevated interest rates while renters continue to face affordability pressures. Every additional dollar taken from ratepayers matters. When households are making difficult decisions about their own budget, this council should be demonstrating the same discipline with public money. The question before us tonight is straightforward. Is this expenditure essential? Is it urgent? Does it need to occur in the 26-27 financial year? The answer is no. There is currently no certainty that the project will proceed in the 27-28 financial year. There is no certainty regarding final costs. There is no certainty regarding timing. And there is no certainty regarding future budget impacts. There is no certainty that construction will proceed. Then why should ratepayers be prepared to fund preparatory expenditure now? Good financial management requires that expenditure be incurred when it is necessary, not simply because it has been scheduled in a forwards works program. Delaying or removing this allocation does not prevent any future council from reconsidering the project when circumstances are clearer. What it does achieve is immediate budget relief and the avoidance of unnecessary expenditure during a period of financial pressure on residents. Councils frequently speak about prudent financial management. Tonight is an opportunity to demonstrate it. The responsible course of action is to remove the $200,000 allocation, avoid committing ratepayers to a project whose future remains uncertain, and focus available resources on maintaining essential services and addressing community priorities that benefit the broader population. This motion asks nothing more than careful stewardship of public funds. It asks councils to pause, to exercise caution and to recognise the financial realities facing the people who ultimately pay for every dollar spent by this city. For those reasons, I urge electors to support this motion and request that council remove the proposed $200,000 expenditure from the 26-27 budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Miotti. Ms Miotti, would you like to speak now? No? Okay. All right then. Is there a speaker against? Would you like to speak as a seconder? I could put you down as a seconder if you like. I know Miss Miotti seconded it, but she's pulled out. Can we put this other man in? He was very keen to speak.
I'll speak against the next motion. I'll second against the next motion. I'll speak against the next motion.
All right. Have I got a speaker against?
I'll speak for the motion.
Thank you, Mr Waugh. We don't need a speaker for it at this stage, but thank you. Miss Miotti is the seconder and she's chosen not to speak. Are you reserving your right to speak or just happy not to speak? Okay, all right. Is there a speaker against? All right, would you like to come to the lectern, please? And would you mind stating your name and... I've got the lady here, yes, with the glasses. Yes, thank you very much. And would you state your name and suburb at the lectern? Thank you very much.
Bev Tyso from Melville. I will keep this very
Really
brief.
sorry, would you mind saying your name again?
Beverly Tyso.
Thank you very much.
I'll keep this very brief. This is not a cricket-only project. The upgrade delivers more playing space for multiple sports. Cricket expands from 1 oval to 2, and soccer capacity increases from 2 pitches to 4. This has been in the works since the 1990s, and we would like an answer and to progress it. Rates are not going up because of this project. The city's 4.9% rate rise is not because of the John Connell Reserve. Melville confirmed that only $200,000 is budgeted for the design work in this financial year. That is 0.085% of the total expenditure. The Mayor confirmed that this project has zero impact on the rate rise and is actually due to CPI increases. Thank you.
Thank you, Beverly, for your short presentation. I'm going to, because I've had a speaker against and we didn't have a seconder, I'm going to take another speaker for. And I've got a gentleman who was very keen. Sorry, Mr. Waugh, I know you're very keen, but I've got a gentleman very keen. He just missed out on seconding before. Would you like... Oh, it's Dr. Wayon. Would you like to come, Dr. Wayon? It'll be a quick one.
I'll take my full allocation, if I may.
You can take your full allocation.
Thank you. Thank you, Deputy Madam Mayor and councillors. My name is Eddie Wayon. I am the convener of the Friends of Kenners Park and I live in Winthrop. We have been opposing this clearing proposal and calling for the revegetation of that area for about 10 years. The Friends of Kenners Park have a long history of revegetation and we have provided some advice to the City of Melville on the likely success of the revegetation required as the offset. We think it will be very difficult to obtain the required revegetation in a time frame. Revegetation in Kenners Park is very, very difficult. We also object to the clearing of the Bankshire woodland and other vegetation solely for cricket pitches. The recent proposal to translocate trees, which I've only heard about recently, appears to be an attempt to mollify other concerns, but Bankshires and other small plants in that native vegetation area will not translocate. I have tried this personally and in association with other groups for over 40 years in an attempt to also save native vegetation for clearing for roads, for example. They do not survive, unfortunately. Grass trees, however, do. I have 2 of my own that were cleared for the Roe Highway project that are now 20 years old. We should be biting the bullet on this project and, in fact, implement the revegetation, the rehabilitation of the John Connell landfill. It's been too long. The chances are that we'll be doing both. We'll be spending $5 million for this and $15 or $20 million for the rehabilitation of the landfill. That is very irresponsible spending of money when it could all be done in one lot and everyone will be satisfied. I myself sat on the John Connell Master Plan Consultative Committee for 2 years, participated in the discussion, and that was the favoured resolution of most of the participants. Get on and do it now. Plan for it, get on and do it now. Put the cricket pitch up there. You can have as many of there as you want, as big as you want. Save the bushland. In fact, revegetate that corridor. We've been pushing for that for 10 years, and it can be done. It would be a great connection between the fantastic orchid population in the Roe Highway Road Reserve and the connection to the Melville Glades Golf Club and be an asset. That area that is currently covered with vegetation is not contaminated as implied in some of the literature. It is degraded because the bushland is degraded, but it is not contaminated. The landfill ends further away than where the clearing is proposed. There is no rubbish under that area to be cleared. It is not contaminated, therefore not degraded in that sense. An alternative that I have thought about, maybe not the best, is to use the existing facility for 2 smaller cricket pitches for juniors and then put a bigger pitch on the landfill. So I support the motion that we in fact go for the bigger picture. Don't think about today. I support the motion that we think about the future and look at a 50-year time horizon. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wayon. In the interest of fairness, I will put it open. Is there another speaker against? If not, I'm happy to put the motion. The motion is on the big screen. For those in favour of the motion, will you please raise your hand now, nice and high? Thank you very much. Thank you. You may lower your hands. We'll just wait for downstairs. All right, thank you. And those people against motion 3, can you raise your hand now very high with your yellow stickers nice and high? Thank you. Thank you. You can lower your hands now. Just counting downstairs. I'll ask Mr. Coton to read the results of the previous motion.
The motion is lost. For was 79 and against was 118.
Which brings us to our last motion of the evening. The fourth motion this evening is moved by Mr. A. Seawood of Leeming. Mr. Seawood, please make your way to the microphone. Yes, Mr. Waugh, what's your point of order? Mr. Waugh, thank you. I take your point on notice, but I don't think that's a reason to close the meeting. So would you, if you have concerns, could you please take it up with me after the meeting? Would that be okay? Mr. Waugh, I don't think this is helpful, so thank you, but I'll talk to you after the meeting if that's okay. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Thank you. Thanks very much. All right, we move on to our last motion of the evening. Mr. A. Seawood. Mr. Seawood, I will get you to read your motion and then I'll ask if you have a seconder.
Sure. We request that the City of Melville, 1, amend the current indicative delivery timeframe for the John Connell Reserve Extension project so that clearing and associated early works commence no later than Q3 2026-2027. 2, prioritise all necessary design approvals and procurement during Q1 and Q2 2026-2027 to achieve that outcome and remain within the current clearing permit timeframe. And 3, adopt a staged delivery approach for the John Connell Reserve project with clearing and field extension works undertaken first as priority, with the floodlighting upgrades and other non-time critical components delivered in a later stage, including thorough future grant opportunities where available.
Thank you, Mr. Seawood. Is there a seconder for Mr. Seawood's? Yes, thank you. You spoke earlier. Thank you. We know your name.
Councillor Barber.
Yes.
Councillor Barber.
Wheatland, yes.
Can you please, for the purpose of people that are online, can you please call out who seconded that?
Yes, I certainly will.
Thank you.
It's Miss D. Jagadish of Mount Pleasant. Thank you, Miss Jagadish. Mr. Seawood, would you like to speak to your motion?
Thank you, Acting Mayor. Good evening, presiding member, councillors and fellow electors. My name is Adam Seward, a Leeming resident and proud life member of the Leeming Spartan Cricket Club. I'm speaking tonight in support of motion 6.1.4, the motion to commence clearing and bring forward the early works for the John Connell Reserve Extension project. I do so because, quite simply, this is a critical project that affects sport throughout the City of Melville. It also takes a practical, measured and responsible approach. It does not ask the City to spend everything at once. It does not ask the City to ignore costs. It does not ask the City to ignore environmental obligations. What it asks is that the City get on with the time-critical works, protect the permit timeframe and stage the rest sensibly. This project did not appear overnight. It is decades in the making. Our club has been in serious discussions with the City about the need for more capacity at John Connell Reserve since around 2010, and the need itself goes back even further. We have waited. We have worked with the City. We have participated in studies, options analysis, business case work and environmental reports. We've been transparent the whole way through. We've done exactly what community clubs are always told to do: be patient, follow the process, raise funds, secure support and work cooperatively. We have done all of that. And we have not come empty-handed. The club has secured $470,000 towards this project. That is real money raised through tireless volunteer effort because our members believe in the future of local sport. Our players, juniors and seniors pay fees to be part of the City of Melville every year. Our members contribute financially and socially to the City year after year. We're not spectators in civic life. We are one of the things that make civic life work, and that is why this matters so much. Because this is not just about one cricket club wanting something nice. This is about playing space. It is about capacity. It is about whether local clubs can continue to absorb growing demand, particularly from juniors and increasingly from women and girls. I will not labour at that point because others will speak to it, but it cannot be ignored. Participation is growing. The need is not theoretical. It is now. Because for all the noise we have heard, no one has put forward a realistic, funded, deliverable alternative that meets the need now. Not in 5 years, not another master plan, not another review, now. The former landfill proposal is not that answer. On the City's own figures, that option is vastly more expensive, far more complex and much slower to deliver. It is not a realistic substitute for the approved extension. It is a talking point, not a plan. Our motion deals with this reality honestly. It says bring forward the clearing and early works to no later than Q3 2026-27, prioritise the design approvals and procurement in Q1 and Q2, and stage the project so that floodlighting and other non-time critical items can be delivered later, including through future grant opportunities where available. That is a sensible path forward. It responds directly to cost concerns without sacrificing the whole project. And it is worth saying clearly, much of the public debate around cost and environment impact has been deeply misleading. The project has been repeatedly reduced to slogans like the world's most expensive lawn, as though the total estimate is simply for grass. It is not. Major components of that figure relate to lighting, project costs, and around $1.3 million in revegetation and environmental obligations. In other words, even within the costings, there is a very substantial environment investment built into the project. That part is always left out by those who want to portray this as sport versus environment. But this is not sport versus environment. We're already compromising. The original permit area was 0.68 hectares. The actual area is now needed for the preferred option is closer to roughly 0.35 hectares. In other words, the project has already been refined to reduce clearing. And despite that reduction, the club is still prepared to honour the full environment response, around 7 hectares of benefit back for a much smaller area required. That is not a conduct of a club trying to bulldoze its way through. That is the conduct of a club that has listened, adapted and compromised. And let us be honest about the site itself. This is not some untouched sacred landscape. It is a small degraded area adjacent to the old rubbish tip. It is less than 1% of the entire John Connell Reserve and surrounding area, and the high quality bushland to the south remains untouched. The picture painted publicly has been wildly out of proportion to the actual footprint. People have been encouraged to imagine something much larger and much more pristine than is actually proposed. What makes this especially frustrating is that this is a fantastic win for both community sport and the environment. More space for kids to play, more capacity for local clubs, a real contribution from the club itself, a substantial revegetation and offset response, a staged delivery pathway that reduces pressure on the city and allows later grant applications for lights.
Mr.
Instead,
Seward, I'm sorry, your time is up. Can you just finish in one sentence, please?
And it says to do the essential works first, and it says after all these years, enough is enough. Let's support sport and give our current generation they need to play now and in the future. I urge you to support my motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Seward. The seconder. Ms. Jagadish, would you like to come and speak to the motion? Thank you.
Good evening, presiding member, councillors and fellow electors. My name is Dee Jagadish and I'm here tonight to support Adam Seward's motion to bring forward the John Connell Reserve Extension project and stage it sensibly so these time-critical works can begin. There is a line from the Cat Stevens song that has stayed with many of us throughout this debate. Where do the children play? For me, that is the real question before us tonight. As a parent, I care deeply that my daughter has the same opportunities others have had before her. I want her to play for the two biggest sports in the world, cricket and soccer, in a community that values girls' participation and makes room for it. Female participation has grown enormously in recent years, and that growth should be celebrated and supported, not met with a shortage of space. Grounds are full, and when one reserve gains space, it eases pressure across the wider network in both winter and summer. With subdivision and population growth, demand for sporting space has never been higher. What is being asked for is modest in size, but significant in value. A fingernail-sized area of degraded land next to a rubbish tip on a project refined and compromised over many years. The club has already reduced its footprint and still intends to honour the full environmental response, and engagement with Aboriginal elders has supported clearing the eastern area as being of no significant cultural value. Much has been said about cost without perspective. The headline figure folds in LED floodlighting and revegetation obligations. The actual clearing and earthworks, less the club's own contribution, is around $680,000. A very different picture from the slogans circulating. John Connell already operates at around 1.7 ovals. We are not building an extravagant new precinct from scratch. We are finishing the job on land always kept for this purpose. After all these years of reports, approvals, and compromise, the answer should not be more delay. That is why Adam's motion deserves support. It is practical and responsible. Bring the early works forward, prioritise approvals and procurement, and stage the rest later if needed. It is the only motion tonight that offers a workable path for both sport and the environment. I support this motion because I want children in our community, including my daughter, to have the opportunity to play. I support it because clubs across the city need more capacity, not more delay. And because after all this time, the community deserves progress. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jagadish. Have I got a speaker against the motion? Yes, look, I'm going to take Ms. Tracy Burns, if that's all right, if you can come up to the lectern. Yes, thank you, Mr. Ward. It's just that you didn't have a great thing about the night, so I thought I wouldn't ask you, sorry. But please speak to me after the meeting. All right. Okay. Lovely. Okay, we'll hear from Ms. Tracy Burns. Thank you.
Hi, presiding member, fellow electors. I rise to speak against motion 6.1.4, commencing clearing. This motion asks us to approve clearing at the John Connell Reserve before the city has completed design, approvals, procurement, or even a full business case. That's not good governance, that's not transparency, and is not what this meeting was called to achieve. Electors asked for oversight because we wanted decisions made on evidence, not on deadlines. Yet the city has not completed a citywide sporting demand assessment. My kids play basketball. There is much higher unmet need in basketball and netball than there is in cricket. Give me the evidence to show me that. Make these decisions based on evidence. My kid's going to miss out on a basketball in internal courts because of a cricket pitch which is not supported by demand. Elected asks for oversight because we wanted decisions made on evidence, Good governance means planning first and clearing later, not the reverse. When we ignore that principle, we reduce accountability for the long-term environmentally and financial impacts. Eddie Wyong said, you've got to meet 70% survival in 4 years. That is unlikely. That means the cost will go up. The cost that we have had so far will go up, definitely.
Ms Burns, I will ask you, could you keep speaking into the microphone? Yeah, thank you.
I can do my best. John Connell contains remnant bushland, a finite ecological asset. Once it is cleared, it is gone permanently. Clearing now risks habitat loss, fragmentation of biodiversity corridors, and a direct contradiction to the city's own sustainability commitments. Electors have repeatedly expressed strong support for protecting what little national bushland remains. I did a study myself as a student. Over the last 20 years, we have lost 20% remnant habitat in the city of Melville. We should be concerned and we should care. This is and supports our whole community, having shade and habitat and places for our animals to live.
If you wouldn't mind.
There is also a question of fairness. Early clearing benefits only the cricket, while other sports, particularly basketball and netball, face far greater unmet demand within this city. You don't even have a club to ask whether we have basketball needs because there is no basketball club in the City of Melville. That's got to be concerning. Electors deserve a process that reflects community values, not rushed timelines. We deserve transparency, proper sequencing, and decisions grounded in real need, not assumptions. Supporting this motion means endorsing haste over integrity. Voting against it sends a clear message that we protect our bushland, that we uphold proper governance, that we expect transparency, evidence-based decision-making, and that supporting investment must align with genuine demonstrated community need. The money is limited. We are dipping into our reserves. Our rates are going up. Something else will miss out if this project goes ahead. We may only be spending $200,000 this year and affecting rates, but who's going to miss out next year and the year after and the year after? For these reasons, I urge you to vote against motion 6.1.4, commencing clearing.
Thank you, Ms Burns. I am going to ask you to vote on the motion as it stands. For those in favour of the motion, will you please raise your hand very high? Thank you. Thank you. You may lower your hands. We'll just count downstairs. Lovely. I will now ask for you to vote. If you wish to vote against the motion, please raise your hand nice and high. Thank you. Thank you. You may lower your hands. We'll just count downstairs. I'll ask Mr Coton, Acting CEO, to read the results of the final motion.
That motion is carried. For was 114 votes and against was 82.
Sorry, repeat the against.
The motion was carried. For was 114 votes and against was 82.
Thank you, everyone. I'm just going to stand up so I can see the back of the room.
Councillor Barber, presiding member, if I may.
Yes, Councillor Wheatland. I'll just sit down. Yep.
You can, if you need to say what you have to say, I want to ask a question at the end, please.
Is it to the whole meeting, Councillor Wheatland?
Yes, yes, it's to the whole meeting.
Yes, you can ask your question now.
Thank you. It's a simple question. As I can't see the room and we're looking at the elected members and the ELT, I just want to try and understand how people were vetted and how they proved that they were a resident, and how can we be sure? No. How can we be sure that the members there are residents and ratepayers of the meeting? Thank you.
If you wouldn't mind, the staff did an amazing job of registering everybody this evening, and they were vetted very clearly. But if you do have concerns, I encourage you to email our governance.
I have emailed you and governance.
Okay,
I have already at the
excellent.
start of the meeting.
Look, thank you, Councillor Wheatland, but it is 8 o'clock, and I promised everybody here that I'd try and get this done by 8 o'clock. I want to thank everybody in attendance. The motion that was passed tonight will be considered at the July ordinary meeting of Council. I also just want to congratulate you. There's going to be some people here tonight who are very disappointed, but I do want to thank you for your conduct this evening. I think that the behaviour was outstanding, and I hope that it continues as we go outside. And remember, we all live in Melville. We want the best for Melville, so I do ask that you continue your kindness and respect. Thank you very much. Because we've finished on time, some of the staff and councillors may be here for you to speak to after the meeting. That concludes the meeting, I've got to say, at 7:58. I'm pretty proud about that. I'm sorry if I cut you off tonight, but I think that we did a pretty good meeting. And I especially want to thank Mr Miotti and Mr Seaward for putting up their motions. I want to thank everybody for asking questions. Yep, thank you very much. I want to thank the seconders for your great job. I think everybody spoke amazingly, so well done to you all. And there being no further business, thank you for your attendance this evening, and I declare the meeting of electors closed at 7:59 p.m. Thank you.